Hi, and welcome to another video. This one is not going to be a full coverage of this because I do want to cover more of it later. But I find Win4Lin fascinating, and there's some other stuff fascinating about old Mandrake and like old Linux ecosystem. So I'm going to really quickly cover Win4Lin and perhaps some other ways to, work with Office documents and run Windows stuff on your system appears to have shut down uncleanly. Well, okay. So, the goal of this video is to show you a few different interesting things that are odd in Linux. And for first, we're going to look at Win4Lin. I've made a shortcut on my desktop. It didn't come with this. Win4Lin in general didn't come with Mandrake. I installed it. And it took a long time to install. I might throw a video of the installation, especially of Windows, because that's super fun. So as you can see, it starts up lightning quick in terms of how fast Windows starts. It's very quick. And the second time you launch it, it's really quick. And here is Windows. Windows will make a sound. That's probably going to block out. I should turn down the sound. It's going to be loud. So you see here that Windows is the C drive is the home directory and the Win directory inside the home directory. So here it is. Here's your config.sys file. That's what it is. Here's your autox.bat file. And here is command.com, which I can't open. And if you look here, you can see that Windows is fully functional. There's a few weird things about Windows, though. First of all, if you look in the System32 directory, you will find that there is there's no WinSock stack. Like, WinSock isn't here, there's no hosts, just the drivers for USB, and that's about it. So, that's a weird thing. Another interesting twist is that if you try to play certain video applications, they play very poorly. Also, Windows just randomly crashed. It is a little more unstable in Win4Lin than in regular situations. I believe Winamp does work properly, unlike some multimedia programs. Let me see if I have any video to play with. I do. So there it is. I have video to play, but either I think the crash might have sent down the ability of this virtual machine to play audio. Let me test that. No, it's just very quiet. Okay, so the interesting thing about this VM is that, as you can see, if you peer into it, it's using things a little strangely, like merge block device driver is the CD-ROM controller. That's odd. Merge CD-ROM is the CD-ROM. Merge Windows X, Win98 version. Which, if you look at the driver file details, VW95, VWVDD, VM32.vxt, VDD. Interesting stuff. The keyboard, PCAT. The monitor, generic merge compatible monitor. Standard bus adapter mouse, so not a PS2 mouse. Again, very strange. Network cards, there aren't any, just dial-up adapter. Merge sound switch, which Netraverse is the manufacturer. You can force to 8-bit. Just all this stuff's very interesting. The custom devices, or system devices, I say plug and play, DMA. These are all, I believe, fairly standard. So if you look at the hardware profiles, or rather performance, all drives are using MS-DOS compatibility mode because part in config sys requires it. But if you look at config sys, there isn't any part. What's going on? It's a super strange setup. If you look at file system, in theory everything looks normal, but in practice nothing is normal. Everything is strange. And if you look at, like, add new hardware, let me try searching for hardware because this shouldn't work. It appears to be doing it. I won't find anything. I'm gonna cancel it because I don't want to risk it. If you look at the network setup, TCP/IP is only hooked up to the dial-up adapter, yet the internet works fine if I go to the Internet Explorer, I believe, although this page doesn't work because it's using secure stuff. I believe, yeah, the internet's just fine, even though I'm obviously not on a dial-up adapter here. Everything's fast, It's obviously working fine. It's right. Alt F4 does actually just try to close Win4Lin. And if you try to resize Win4Lin, it does resize properly. It does do that. And what if you try to run the command prompt? Well, it says Windows 98, so let's go into a couple of weird things here. Where is it? There's a directory that has some weird stuff. I forget where it is. J is the directory. So, go into J, and you will find the merge directory. And in the merge directory, we will find such programs as DOS to Unix. Interesting. The WinSox, Unix to DOS, Care Convert, translation tables not given, UDIR. Fun stuff. Wait, what? Weird. Anyway, and colors. And if you Alt-Enter, notice how it quickly says SCO merge driver installed, by the way, when you do that. Here we are in the command, in like the full screen VGA character mode view that merge uses. And if you look in J with the file manager, you can see there's a min-win95 which has some weird stuff. Like, look at all this shit. WinSock, WinSock32, WinSock95 update, NE2000.vxd. I don't even know what all this does. If you look at min-Windows, OEM setup for the merged Windows 3.1 drivers. And I don't think this program even supports Windows 3.1 anymore, but there they are. If you look at WinCabs, here are the Windows cabs. And it's just all this funky stuff, man. And if you look at DOS, well, here's a copy of DOS, or most of it anyway. You got Telnet, which this is the Windows 3.1 Telnet. This isn't part of DOS. And the rest of it's pretty much just DOS, except for defrag, which is regular. So, very strange. If you look at your home directory here, you can see that it is your complete home directory. This is a complete copy of what would be considered my home directory. And they sync. If I rename this brother.doc here, where is it? If I rename that Windows brother.doc, and then F5 a couple times, there it is. If I load it up, and we're loaded up, we're working. So that's super strange in my opinion. Most games don't work very well, but I found that SimCity sort of works. The music doesn't work. Might work if I enabled like virtual sound canvas, but I don't have a copy of that on hand right now. The sound does work, but it's very delayed. Works though. And just very strange program overall. I do want to tell you the configuration tool for Star Office. I have installed that as well. Really quickly, let me just run Star Office here. Check out this new Office document crap that they were peddling that looks just like the one in Office 2000. Fancy. Won't even work. Can't get what I want. Let me try loading it this way. There we go. That works. So, yeah, Star Office. And copy and paste between Windows and Linux generally works. So if I copy this and then go into Linux and paste, it works. So that's convenient. So let us close down Windows. And we will analyze a little bit more how this works. First of all, the Win directory contains your Windows files, as was shown in Windows itself. Another way it works that is worth noting is if you... What is the thing? Oh yeah, you have to go into the opt directory and then into Win4Lin directory. And there's a few programs here, but the one I remember is the configuration tools. I'm trying to remember what the name of it is. I think it's Win4Lin admin. So this is for the Win4Lin terminal server. We're using Win4Lin terminal server, by the way. That is the version we are using. So this lets you make like a ghost image of Windows C, which is useful if, because there's not really any way you can use Windows utility software in Win4Lin. It all breaks in interesting ways. Let me see if I can get out of this backup procedure. This is going to take too long. Oh, never mind. It didn't take very long at all. So this program is very basic. It doesn't actually do very much. It lets you change the networking style from VNet to WinSock, which I don't want to do. If I press Win Setup, you get this older program which doesn't look very good, but it does more things. It lets you change the configuration.sys files, which, as you can see, there are actually different ones. The ones in Windows are kind of an illusion. They aren't actually the sole files. There are two files. If you look at the config and the AutoX, they're interesting. You can see the Windows 3.1 option is eliminated. There's a maximum of 128 megs of RAM you can use. Volumes, interesting. Devices, you can set serial, COM ports, parallel. Interesting stuff. You can set up the way the display works and what the DOS font is, whether you have an MDA display or not. You can set window and full screen resize and X cut and paste and the menus. And then you can save all this and start. You can also change your DOS session, which is actually separate. And you can have more than one session. The only sessions I have had is DOS and Windows. But you can have multiple Windows sessions, thus the name terminal server. Because if you looked earlier, you can see that they actually have a VNC server in this directory. VNC config. Hold on. Which unfortunately has a library loading error on my system, but there is such a thing as a VNC conflict. So that's strange. If you go into WinAdmin, it lets you do some stuff. I forget exactly what that actually does. And if you go into Win Profile, these are all administrative stuff for terminal servers. But somehow that managed to start Windows, which is interesting. Which starts up. I think it takes longer because I have some stuff set to start it up, like Star Office, that I don't really want. I should probably clean my Windows install. It's normally very quick. Let me see if I can get rid of that Star Office at startup thing. So this is the mysteries of Win4Lin. Let's set it down. And what happens if you... there are a couple of ways to launch Win4Lin from the DOS prompt. And you can type DOS, and I believe you can type a command after DOS. There might be some syntax for that, though. I'm not sure if it just works like that. Yeah, it doesn't work just that simple. Oh no, it does. It totally does. You just type DOS edit, and there you go. Now you're running edit in DOS. Amazing stuff. Good. Good, good, good. And then you exit, and you just go back to DOS, or back to Linux. If you type just DOS, waits around a little while, takes a second to think about all of the stuff it's doing, and after a little while waiting around, DOS is available, and as you can see, drive D becomes the drive you are currently in. So, becomes the directory you are currently in, rather. So, here we are. Here's my stuff. You notice the way it Thornton's long file names is different than the way Windows does it, which is probably confusing if you're using both DOS and Windows on the same Linux installation. But it does work, and it runs certain DOS programs. I don't actually have any to show you, but it's an interesting setup. That is DOS. Now, there's another way to run the DOS command. I forget how you do this. Let me see if I can figure it out. Alright, DOS plus 8 gives you the help. As you can see, there's a bunch of options you can do. So you can go -X to run DOS in a command prompt, like this. This way you don't use an X window. And you can use UX, I believe. Oh, that can't be run in DOS mode. Okay, that requires Windows. So let's exit DOS. I'm not sure how you actually do that. I think it's quit. It's not exit like it would be in non-merge environments. It's quit. Everything is up and down. Everything is weird in merge world. So here's another weird thing. If you type Win, of course you get Windows. But what if you type Win Notepad? Now, on DOS, this would launch Notepad, if Notepad was in your path. And in Windows, in the case of SEO merge, well, you'll see it's not much different, except for it takes a long time to launch Windows for some reason. On my other system, this was much faster. But as you can see, it just launches Notepad real quick. And it does this no matter what program you type, as long as it's in your path. So you can type, WinWord or whatever. It's pretty cool. You can make shortcuts to this. And I have made a shortcut, which I forget where I put it. Word Win4Lin. Here it is. And if you click this shortcut, what automatically happens is, takes a while to think about it, and Windows starts, Windows loads, and once Windows is done loading, Word loads. And there you go. Then when you're done with Word, you close Windows, and you're back to Linux. You may now safely turn off your computer. Well, I'm not gonna. So that's interesting. I mean, there are other ways to run Word on Linux, like Crossover Office here, which, as you can see, works pretty well. And if you just want something that looks like Word, you can run Star Office, which works pretty well too. So it's not like you need, Win4Lin, unless you're using software that absolutely has no alternative. And obviously all the stuff's amazingly obsolete nowadays anyway, but it is very interesting, I think. I think it's a fascinating piece of history. So I might look more at it later, but that's Win4Lin. It's super funky. In fact, let me tell you one more thing. If you go to a cell and you log in, you can actually use DOS from the cell. You don't even need to be an X to use DOS. Unfortunately, if you do this, there's no way to exit edit, because edit just sort of breaks your DOS prompt. But it's fun to play around with because it's cool. It's really interesting. I enjoy playing with this program. So I'm going to exit out of this and shut down my environment here. And, alright, I'm still in DOS because exit doesn't exit because this is stupid Win4Lin. Alright, I need to be rude. So that is the end of that.